Track reviews.
Hello, hello, hello. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is. And it is time for a track review. I'm going to be taking on the latest song and single, GOKU, from the one and the only Jaden Smith. Jaden is a rapper, a new millennial mind, not to be too patronizing or mock the guy, who has had a pretty meteoric rise in hip-hop music over the past year or so with the release of his album Sire, which was pretty well received by a lot of young fans. I personally did not really care for it. That's just me. However, I could see on the album that despite Jaden on a lot of tracks was really drowning in his influences, he was really trying. He was really trying to do something that was deeper and more artistically significant than a lot of mainstream stuff that you might find out there. And to me, as long as that ambition is there, as naive as some of Jaden's efforts might come off to me, I do think that there is potential, because Jaden, he's still a relatively young guy, a lot of time to grow, learn, gain experience, and evolve as an artist. And I mean, there have been plenty of artists and songs and albums over the years that have ended up warming up to me, and there's no reason that it couldn't happen in this case. So, that being said, GOKU is the second single from Jaden's forthcoming project, the Sunset Tapes, and just looking forward to giving it a shot, seeing what's up, seeing if there's any kind of artistic change over here, and where he is headed next with his sound. So, Jaden Smith, GOKU. Ba-bam. Okay, then. All right. Listen, no matter what I say past this point, let the record show that this this track made me smile. I guess there's no denying that. It at least did that. This is so ridiculous. This song is so ridiculous, and not necessarily in a bad way. Not necessarily in a bad way. Let's start with the production. The beat on this thing is insane. It's kind of tacky, but there's something about just how over the top that it is that is enjoyable regardless. I love the laser glistening synthesizers and keys on this thing. The sub bass sounds great. And of course we have to talk about what's essentially like a dubstep or an EDM style, like banger type breakdown, on the hook of this thing. Whereas the verses take on a bit more of a trap style. It's kind of like just a fusion of dubstep, EDM, trap, really kind of all coming together in this beat. But it doesn't sound nearly as tacky or as just horrendous as it could have. It's very decadent and in your face and energized. And I kind of like that quality about it. You know, see, here's the thing. I don't feel like the sound of this track would be tolerable if not for the fact that it's a pretty tight song. The hook is pretty catchy, as ridiculous as the line about him feeling like Goku, but his credit card didn't go through is. I'm not exactly seeing the connection there, or maybe it's about just feeling like you're supercharged, even during moments when life is really inconvenient. But I'll say this much: the song definitely does deliver and pass along to the listener an energy similar to that of, you know, that old video of that kid who's like, "I'm gonna be Super Saiyan." Like it certainly is inspiring in that way. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat because I don't go Super Saiyan often. So it certainly does have that infectious, high, somewhat aggressive, swagger-filled energy to it where you almost feel invincible listening to it, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool feeling. The main verse, of which there's pretty much only one, because the track is mostly refrains, which is probably like my biggest critique of it. Like it's not that lyrical, which lyrics have been kind of a shortcoming for Jaden in past efforts too, so that's not really surprising me over here. But at least as a song, it seems a little tighter and more focused when compared to some of the more underwhelming material on Sire, though stylistically Sire was kind of all over the place, so I have no predictions going that Jaden's future material is all going to sound like this. He most likely is going to be somebody who just kind of lets his artistic whims take him in whatever direction he goes. But if along the way he drops some tracks like this every once in a while, that will not be that bad of a trip, because I thought generally the song was pretty fun, you know? If we're judging this on the standard of a straightforward trap banger with infectious lyrics that you don't need to think that deep about, with some pretty funny or witty one-liners here and there in the main verse, it's not bad. You know, it's certainly not groundbreaking, but he definitely brings the bass, the vocal energy, the loud in-your-face sounds. It's all there. Though again, I'll say that some of his lyrics and some of his jabs, some of his shots, outside of some mentions of like stop drinking syrup because that's why we have a day for yams, so on and so forth. Outside of moments like that, that seem like he put a little bit more thought into, hey, I'm going to try to give a message here or something like that. Just felt like, hey, it's just kind of general braggadociory. And me just kind of like showing my energy level and trying to pass it off to the listener, which a lot of artists are doing these days. You know, you're trying to make the most hype, over-the-top sound and song to get as many people as excited as possible. And this song definitely has that potential to do that, because it certainly did it for me. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good track. Certainly a really catchy, enjoyable banger of a track. I'm going to leave it at that. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. GOKU, Jaden Smith, Sunset Tapes, new project, new single, Forever.